Assalamu alaikum students. I hope you are fine and you have understood the previous lesson. Today we will discuss the remaining portion of the same lesson, that is Whistling of Birds, written by D.H. Lawrence. In the previous lecture we discussed that the writer compares winter with spring, and he tells us that they are totally opposite from each other. Winter represents death and spring represents life. Winter represents destruction and spring represents creation. When there is winter, there is death. When there is spring, there is life. And change is the law of life. When there is winter, it seems as if it will never end, but then the spring comes. And when there is spring, it seems that life will never end, but then comes the winter and everything becomes dead and covered with snow again. Spring is warm and winter is cold. Spring is light and winter is shadow. Let's discuss the remaining points of the lesson now. Lawrence reveals that life and death are incompatible. Incompatible means things that cannot exist together. They cannot be present at the same time. So if there is life, there is no death, and if there is death, there is no life. They cannot coexist. Things beaten by winter start to recover and they restore their life. Things that are beaten by winter, that are destroyed by winter, like trees, plants, birds, water, and everything else, they become alive again. They start to recover, they become strong again, they become green again, they start to grow, they start to whistle, and they start to live. So whistling of birds represents life, because in winter there is no whistling because birds are dying, but in spring there is whistling of birds because the birds are alive and they know that now they will live because winter has left. Birds forget the remains of death and whistle to welcome the new life. So when spring comes, birds forget the dead bodies of their fellow birds and they start whistling and singing because they want to celebrate life and the arrival of life in the world. Trees bring forth leaves and greenery starts to rule. So there are leaves on trees then in the spring, and there is grass and everything becomes green and alive. Frost melts away and rays of life emerge. The frost is melted because of the sun and heat, and life, that is grass and birds and other things, they start to appear on the earth again. Before they were covered with snow, but now they start anew and they start living again. Life is a process and the old must be replaced by the new. So why is this death necessary? Because death replaces or takes away the old and spring brings the new, and the leaving of the old and coming of the new recreates life on earth. It brings newer life to earth and it is necessary for life to exist on this planet. This is the law of nature. So it is a law and it cannot be changed. Wherever there is life, death comes to take it away, and wherever there is death, life comes to take its place. Death cannot rule forever, it must be beaten by life, which is to survive even in the hereafter. Hereafter means life after death. So, death is not absolute, it cannot rule forever, there cannot be death on earth always. There is life as well, and life comes and it survives even in the life after death. That is why we call it life after death. Lawrence's description of nature reveals his love as well as appreciation of different creatures. So the way Lawrence describes nature, birds, plants, trees, lakes, sunshine, winter, everything, it shows how much he loves nature and how much he loves different creatures, animals, birds, and plants, that he has noticed everything about them, and he describes those small things like the frolicking of lambs, like the whistling of birds, like their colors, their shades, everything in such minute detail that it shows that he loves nature to great extent. The writer describes the cold and dull winter. So winter is cold, winter is dull, and spring is green, bright, full of colors, and it is warm. Winter is a dull season and it kills the beauty of nature. It is the season of death and destruction and is also the season of inactivity. So inactivity means that nothing is active, everything dies or it is sleeping because of winter and cold. The writer is of the view that this change is a natural phenomena. Phenomena means process. It is beyond our control. So he believes that this change is natural and we cannot control it. We cannot control the arrival of spring, we cannot control the arrival of winter, and we cannot make any season stay forever. We can neither prolong winter nor hold back the spring. Prolong means make it long. So we cannot make the winter longer and we cannot stop the spring from coming into the world. In the presence of winter, spring is absent. As in the presence of life, death flees away. Flee means run away. So when there is winter, spring is not there. And when there is life, death cannot stay in a place where there is life. They cannot both coexist. The same is the case with human life. Human life is similar. When there is life, people want to live, they do activities, they do different things. As when death comes, it takes away every activity and every happiness in the world. People are either happy or they are sad. They cannot be happy and sad at the same time. So this lesson discusses contrasts of life and death, contrasts of different season, and it tells us that these things are natural and they come on their own time and we cannot stop these things and we have to accept them as natural and course of nature. I hope this lesson is clear to you. If there are any questions, you can ask. In the next lesson, inshallah, we will discuss the important questions of this lesson and their possible answers. That is all for today. Have a nice day. Allah Hafiz.